There are stories that stay with us, that haunt the corners of our minds long after we hear them. This is one of those stories, and I know it's real because it happened to me. What you're about to hear is not just a legend or a tale passed down in whispers. This is my story, and I pray it never becomes yours. Night 1, the letter. It all started with a letter. It arrived in my mailbox with no return address, the paper brittle and yellowed. The words were scrawled in frantic ink. Come to Black Hollow. You are the last one left. I should have ignored it. I should have burned it. But something in me needed to know, needed to remember, because deep down I knew. I had been to Black Hollow before. Night 2, the town that disappeared. Black Hollow was a town lost to time. No records, no maps, no mention of it in any archive. But I found it, just where my nightmares told me it would be. An empty road stretched into thick woods, and beyond it, the remains of a place that shouldn't exist. Houses stood untouched, yet abandoned. Windows gaping like empty eyes. The silence was suffocating, and then I saw it. My childhood home, standing exactly as I remember, though I had no memory of ever living here. Night 3, the shadows returned. The air inside was heavy, thick with the scent of decay. My footsteps echoed too loudly, as if the house was listening. Then the whispers began, faint at first, like wind through cracked walls. But soon they grew. You left us, they hissed. You forgot. Shadows moved at the edge of my vision. Figures stood in doorways that vanished when I turned. I wasn't alone. I had never been alone. Night 4, the truth in the mirror. I found it in the attic, an old mirror, its surface warped and blackened. And when I looked into it, I remembered. I saw myself as a child, standing in this very room, surrounded by figures that weren't human. They whispered my name, reaching out with fingers too long, too sharp. And then I saw the truth. I was the reason they were here. I had let them in, and they had been waiting for me to return. Night 5, the final night. I tried to leave. The door wouldn't budge. The windows showed nothing but darkness. No outside world beyond. The house was alive. It wanted me to stay. The whispers became screams. The shadows lunged from the walls. And then I saw them, the lost ones. My family, my friends, trapped, twisted into inhuman shapes. And they spoke in unison. One must stay. One must take your place. The final decision, escape or sacrifice. There was only one way out, one trade to me. And so I ran, leaving the door open behind me, leaving the house to claim another. The screams followed me into the night, the shadows clawing at my back. But I made it. I escaped. And yet every night I hear them whisper my name. They are still waiting. And someday they will come for me. So now you know my story. You know the truth. But I have to warn you. If you ever receive a letter with no return address, if it tells you to come back, burn it. Ignore it. Because if you don't, you might find yourself in Black Hollow. And once you enter, you may never leave.